Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're just going to do updates in the form of general summer maintenance pruning. So, this is what I call my river jade tree, and you can see it's gotten quite shaggy. And I'm not going to do detailed pruning on this. I kind of want to save that for the videos, but I've just got some stuff that's out of control here. And, even in terms of just pulling this off the bench and looking at it to show in an update video, I just couldn't bear to do it. So we're going to do some quick speed pruning on this guy and really just kind of minor stuff. This is the kind of thing that you sort of have to do every few weeks, actually, in the summertime, because I'll tell you, these ports, especially if you're fertilizing them outside, which I put a sort of a minute amount of fertilizer. Actually, I probably give it a pretty good amount of fertilizer, kind of a standard mix of the Miracle Grow stuff in addition to throwing Osmocote on the ground. So they get a lot of food in the summertime, and so they put out a lot of growth, and it's tough to stay ahead of it, honestly. So, I think this was already looking a bit better. Like I said, I just kind of gave it a quick prune, but this tree has been really, really happy since I put it outside. And, it's growing well and looking good, and I'm just continuing to thicken it up and grow it out. And I'll probably just continue that and give it a heavy prune in mid-August or so. Here's another tree. This is my Portulacaria Afra. I just love this tree. It's very compact growing, and especially when you get it outside. I mean, it grows really well indoor in lights, but outside it's just insane. It puts on a lot of growth, and it's kind of very hard to keep up with. So I'm just going to go in here and give it a quick haircut. You can tell in some of my previous videos, and by the way, all these trees have playlists. So if you go to my playlist section, you can just see the tree and click on it, and you can see everything I've done to these trees since I started my channel. And but this is one I really like, and I think what I'm trying to do now, I'm going to let the front grow out and just have it be sort of more of a solid, dense foliage all over. I can't remember the character. It's the goblin from McDonald's or something, where it's going to kind of look like that. It's just, and so I'm trying to do that, and I'll let that grow out. But the tree's doing great, looking fabulous. It had a spider mite attack, but it has recovered from that and is looking good. So next up, we have my Portulacaria Afra variegated. I call this one my it's kind of an island in the sun. I kind of like the blue is like water, and then the tree is on a little island, and you can see it's grown quite a bit. These are very slow growing, but they do eventually need to be pruned. So I'm gonna do some pruning on this guy because it's just getting too thick and unruly looking. And like I said, it's kind of a good time right before Midsummer to get some pruning in, and then go from there. I'm not going to do any major branch selection. You can see it's sort of a ball shape. And I tend to just sort of let it grow out, prune it back. Anything that's growing to the inside or crossing, I take that off. Although I haven't done that for a while with this tree because it wasn't really growing with a lot of vigor. I think part of that was, I don't know if I was watering it too much or not enough. Like this one's a little bit more temperamental. Like it really wants just the right conditions to thrive. And that kind of corresponds with being outside for this specific tree. But so I haven't been pruning it much. But you can see it's got a lot of long stuff, and so I just want to spend a little time here and make sure I get it growing in the right direction. If you sort of delay this, the problem gets worse and worse, right? Because it'll just get thicker and thicker, and particularly for a tree like this that, I don't really want this tree to get much bigger. You know, it's sort of in a tiny pot. It's about the right size for the pot, and I wouldn't say it's in maintenance mode. I'm still kind of refining it because of the way these grow. But, you know, I don't want it to go too far in the wrong direction. And I've also found these trees, if you keep them pruned, it really keeps them nice and small. So I do have a bit of a mess in my hands here just because I haven't done anything in so long. So I'm just kind of going around and, you know, trying to pay for those past sins and get some of this thick, kind of confusing, congested stuff out of there. And a lot of it is just really, you know I've said this 1,000 times, but if you really just take it back to a couple sets of leaves, that goes a long way to, you know, simplifying the tree and getting it ready to put on some new growth. And it sort of forces you to, you know, kind of discern what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. But at least now the profile looks a bit better on this tree, and I'm just continuing to do nips and tucks on it. So I zoomed ahead here a bit, and I think this looks pretty good, at least good enough that I'm willing to stop for now. So I'm just cleaning it up. And you know, by the way, I wanted to mention, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I have playlists for all these trees. So, you know, if you go to my playlist section, you can click on a tree and see everything. And here's a little victory lap for this one. I think I've cleaned it up quite a bit. It's not perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. So next up we have this one in this beautiful blue pot. And this section right here, I've just had constant problems with it, where it just wants to grow down, and I cut it and it comes back, and I cut it and it comes back. So I'm going to cut it again, and we'll see what happens. Eventually, I think the tree will get the message. And probably at some point, I'm really going to, you know, kind of tighten this thing up and bring it in. I haven't really done a lot of real deep inspection of some of these pads I have kind of forming and these branches coming out. But it's almost like I feel, you know, maybe before summer ends, I will either defoliate this thing or just radically reduce it so I can really get a good look at what's going on in there. Because it's very difficult with some of these thick growing trees to see what you're looking at. I'm just going to take this off. Yeah, that's a lot better. And I think I'll do the same on this side. It's sort of a Hail Mary profile prune. Tired of dealing with that thick stuff. Let's just take it off and see what develops. And you know, ideally you'd want to do a more metered approach to this. But I've also found that, you know, profile pruning saves a lot of time. You know, like I really think, you know, that low-hanging stuff was just not going to be part of this. And so, you know, sometimes it's better just to be ruthless and take it off and allow the tree to focus all that energy on the top where you actually want it to grow. So a few more cuts on the right over here just to even that out. And I think I'm going to stop for now. I think that looks pretty good. Give it a little spin. It's much better than it was. And sometimes that's all you need to do. And I think it'll allow this tree to focus growing just where we want it to. And as usual, you know, sometimes this downward facing growth is, I saw that when we were spinning it around, take it off. This particular tree really likes to grow leaves that point straight down, so I'm constantly trying to remind it that I don't necessarily appreciate that. And there we go. Now we'll do a little spin. I always love this pot, and I like the tree. So here we have a desert rose. I've had horrible luck with these, but look at the trunk on this thing. I don't know. I think I showed this a month or so ago, and it was probably less than half this size. This trunk has just sucked up water like a sponge. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I think greater than 50% bigger. It's twice the size. I mean, as to what it was, and it's got kind of a wild Medusa look to it. I'm really, really hoping that I can get this thing to flower, because I've yet to see it flower. And speaking of flowering, I have a bit of Christmas in July here. I was hoping it would open up, but it's almost ready to pop. This Christmas cactus bloomed, around Christmas time, and you can see the leaves are a little burnt. I kind of put it outside. Hadn't really dealt with these before, but I didn't have the heart to throw it away. So I stuck it in a pot and, put it outside. I think they don't like as much sun as I'm giving it, but it's blooming and it's got a lot of buds coming out all over, and including more blooming buds. But it's kind of nice to have Christmas in July. I don't know what that means for the tree, but I'm hoping it'll be okay, and I'll probably keep it in the chiller area. And I just want to show you this pot. I think I got this pot. It might be a Spanish pot. I got this off Etsy. I'll try to find it and put the link in the video details, but I really like it. It's a 8-sided pot, really cool. Here's a quick look at a forest that will be pruning quite soon. It's growing like a weed, and it seems like it, you can see where it's taken off. It's really putting on a tremendous amount of growth now, and it's quite a dense forest, and so I will have to deal with this one quite soon. And I think I'm going to do it as like a bunch of tall skinny trees, maybe like lodgepole pines or something. This guy, I recently repotted this. There's a video for that, and it keeps going up. Like, I had it down. It was literally like a cascade, and then it pulled itself up, and then I pulled it down, and it pulled itself up, so I'm letting it go. A few people have asked about this. So this is my rainbow forest, and it's really thick, and it's getting super chunky and growing like mad, and I'm just going to let it go. I want it to get tall and grow out. I still love this pot, but I'm not really doing much with this other than feeding it, and these are kind of slow growing, and that's it. That's pretty much a wrap for today, kind of a quick one. And I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.